Don, have you got a question for the Baron?
I do. I have a funny feeling we probably heard a few of them already, but who would you say are the 5 toughest men that you ever faced in the ring of professional wrestling?
Well, the toughest guy would be the next one. The very next one is going to be the toughest. Some of the tougher guys, of course, were very skillful guys like Vern Gagne, Wilbur Snyder, Pat O'Connor, Lutez.
Now, those aren't the guys always known as the brawlers. Were they tough because of the amateur background, the fact that they could counter hold and reverse
Exactly.
holds?
They had great balance. It was very hard to take them down. It was very hard to stay on top of them. If you got them down, they had ways to get out. And they knew all the basics. The guys like the Bruiser and the Crusher and Moose Cholak and there's so many others that were more like brawlers, street fighters. There you never knew what to expect. You might take them down, but they might try to pull your eye out. They might stick their finger in your nose. You never knew what they were going to do. And, very nasty individuals, some of those.
Oh, I can only imagine. What would you say, as you look back over your career, what would you consider your single toughest match?
Oh.
I'm sure obviously you had many over the years.
Yeah, there were really too many to really focus on.
Hard to pick one out as being the most grueling or the most punishing that you experienced.
One of the toughest was with the 5-time world champion Lutez. The first time I met him, I was just starting as a pro wrestler, and I met him in Toledo, Ohio. And with his background and everything, I knew it was going to be a tough match, but the match went the hour time limit.
Oh my God!
And that was it was a real hot, muggy day. I don't know if you know Toledo, but in the summer it gets very hot and muggy, and that was a long, hard match. But I've had other matches that were very close to being as tough.
Oh, I can imagine. Don, do you have another?
Yeah, I was wondering what was the largest crowd you ever wrestled in front of? Was there one that really stands out where it's just like a big stadium show? Or
Well, Madison Square Garden was big. It holds like, I think it was 23,000, but Civic Center here holds, what, 17 or 19? I don't know. I never really paid that much attention. Probably the biggest indoor crowd was the Tokyo Judo Palace. That was sold out, and it holds a lot of people. And they don't, they crowd them all together. They're not as...
Not as comfortable seating as we have here in the States.
Yeah, they're not as large in some areas as we are. Anyway, probably the largest outdoor crowd was against Vern Gagne in the White Sox ballpark in Chicago. Oh. That was a long time ago. I think we set a record there. I'm not sure, but
at Comiskey Park in Chicago.
Yeah, we set a record. They said it didn't show up in my pay envelope, but.
He went to the pay window and it didn't reflect as that big a crowd. Who was the promoter? Maybe we shouldn't ask.
Well, we shouldn't ask.
Okay, we'll stay away from that.
A couple of them are looking down from up there, so
I'm sure I can imagine. Let's talk personalities now. Who would you say is the single most memorable character that you ran into in your years in professional wrestling? Is there somebody in the business that stood out as just somebody that is really an intriguing, interesting, unusual?
Well, there's so
I'm
many.
sure they all are unusual.
A good friend of mine, Mad Dog Vachon, he's got a story. He grew up with 13 brothers.
He grew up with 13 brothers.
Well,
excuse me,
13 in his family. 13 in his family, yeah. 13 in his family.
Okay.
I said brothers.
Okay.
Boys and girls.
But that big a family.
But Paul is, Mad Dog was the smallest son. He was the meanest, but the smallest. And all of his brothers who are younger, he was the oldest. All of them were like 6'2", 4, 6.
Paul was a very big man.
Yeah, Paul was a big man, but he had other brothers even bigger. And they all were in industries up in Quebec in the woods and doing different things, but they were all big, rugged, husky guys. And Mad Dog is not a very tall man, but he makes up for it in his physical.
Just the intensity.
Intensity, yeah. He's a very, and he's got so many stories. You know, he's just a tremendous character, a tremendous person.
I got 13 Vachons. How'd you like to be fighting for the last pork chop at that supper table?
Yeah, even the girls were tough, you know.
I bet.
Vivian.